Good afternoon, everybody. If there's any that don't know, my name is Randy Robbins. I am the president of the Pass Action Group. And we wanted to take today, we had to reschedule from before because of the earlier delay, but we'll get into some more of that. We're going to just do a little bit of I like to call it housekeeping at the start here. And then I'm going to turn the mic over to Diane Burley, who's our in-house attorney. Those of you that are aware of that, she is an attorney, but she's not our attorney on this case because that's not what she practices. But she's been very helpful and very understanding of everything, as those of you that have been following us for the last 2.5 years. So I just wanted to again say thank you to everybody for coming to. This is your town hall. This is your group. It's not our group. We just headed it. It's your group. It's the community's group. And we just want to thank everybody for all of your support throughout this entire process. And, you know, we got some mixed emotions on, or mixed verdicts, as I guess is the best way to say it, or rulings. And Diane will go into that later on. But I just wanted to take a couple minutes to just introduce our board. You guys can just raise your hand or stand up, whatever you want to do. Again, I'm Randy, I'm the president. Jeannie Lloyd is our treasurer. Jim Corrigan is vice president. Jan Fumang is our secretary. Our in-house counsel, Diane Burley. Bob Hicks. Ron Roy, which I don't see him here. Gracie Luna, who represents Four Seasons. Harry Finnegan, who's home today, he couldn't make it. Bruce Brown. Jim Moran, who's been there from day one, who left our community, but he stayed involved in this and has worked his tail off. We appreciate it. And Lori Matsushita representing the lakes across the street, and John Swim. Without this group of these board members and some of the previous board members, we would not have been able to get where we've gotten today. And without the support of the community, of course, we would have never gotten where we got today. And I'm glad that we've been able to get to where we are. So I just wanted to go over that. Also, I'd like to we've had a recycling program that was put together by Ms. Dori Gartsky. Many of you have contributed. And for those that don't know, this was Dori's program. It wasn't our program. She said, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to give you the proceeds. We said, thank you. So I don't know if it was her choice or ours, but we've been able to stay out of it, and she's doing it. But no, she's done a fantastic job, or fabulous, whichever word I was trying to say. But I believe, do you know the number that you've approximately? $21,000 has come in through the community recycling efforts. Thank you, Dory. And if anybody needs it, it's 6029 Spanish Trail Cove. That's where you can take them. I wanted to just recap. I'm going to walk over here. It's easier for me to remind myself what I wrote on the thing. And if the camera's not on me, that's okay or not. You don't need to worry about it. We kind of coined the phrase, it takes a community to save the community. It's been that came from this board's heart, every one of us, and we appreciate that. It started. A large group of community members are going to need to go to the planning commission meetings, decisions. I'm trying to remember what I had this slide in here for. Okay. So it started out at the beginning of the journey. It came up that there was a planning commission meeting to talk about it. Many of you know this. Some of you are new to the community, and so I just wanted to recap it very quickly. That first commission meeting, there was not a decision made on the approval of Banning Point. It was continued to the next meeting. After that meeting is when the Pass Action Group did form, and then through the community, we've continued the fight with donations and protests, actions, and just being very positive to try to get a great outcome. Then when the Planning Commission re-met, it was a 3-2 vote, and they approved the Banning Point. We appealed to the City Council. The City Council voted to uphold the decision of the Planning Commission. Fundraising continued in order to fight the project, which has again been phenomenal. The Pass Action Group filed the lawsuit on multiple grounds. The 4 primary causes, might not use the exact proper verbiage, but that's what Diane's going to be here for in just a minute, is CEQA, which is the California Environmental Quality Act, that we felt that their findings were insufficient. We had missed an initial deadline because they snuck, as we've said before, they snuck it in under the guise of COVID. And then it did not meet the general plan or the specific plan, and that there was bias from council members Hamlin, Wallace, and Sanchez. So at this point, after multiple delays, our case was finally heard by Judge Harold Hopp on March 13th, and Diane is now going to give us a recap of the legal side. I think she's going to go to the podium.
Everybody can hear me? Okay. Now, got to get, there we go. Okay, so the Superior Court order was issued on March 15th, 2024. That was, we argued the case, our attorneys argued the case on Wednesday the 13th, and to our surprise, we got a decision on the 15th. It was very quick. Our attorney, one of our attorney's staff people just checked for the heck of it, and there was the decision. Okay, so the way to understand the decision is to look at it as being in 2 different legal buckets. And you have to try to keep them apart in your mind because it's very confusing. I've been practicing law for 43 years, and even I get confused. People have asked me questions about what happens in the process from here on in, and there have been times I wasn't quite sure. It's very complicated. But anyway, bucket number 1 is that the court issued a writ of mandate. It granted the issue of mandate based on the bias of Mary Hamlin in voting to, actually, she only voted to approve the Planning Commission. She didn't actually vote to approve the project, but the court saw through that and said that the city issued an order, a writ, commanding the city council to reconsider the Banning Point project. Okay, and I'll get to bucket number 2 in a minute. Okay. The process is as follows. Within 90 days, the city council must set aside and vacate the project. When that happens, the project is unapproved. So they will not have an approved project. I think that's very important to remember. The city council, after that, after it sets aside and vacates the project, the court has ordered it to conduct a future hearing reconsidering the project without the biased council member voting, which we already know that she was recalled, so that's not going to happen. within 120 days. So it's not clear to me exactly when the city council will conduct its hearing, but within 120 of days of that hearing, the city must specify the actions it's taken to comply with the terms of the writ. So the city council is going to have to say, this is what we've decided. And that's it. And that's what happens. We don't know what they're going to do. They could approve it. They could disapprove it. We don't know. Just as an aside, the Pass Action Group, the court deemed us a prevailing party, which means that we can petition for our attorney's fees and our costs. Okay? Okay. Now, bucket number 2 is a little murky, but I will try to explain it the best I can. And I hope I don't lapse into legalese. The court did not issue a judgment as to the CEQA part of our case, but it did make a finding. So right now, we don't have anything to appeal from because you have to have a judgment in order to file an appeal, okay? So the finding, and I'm sure most of the people in this room understand what the finding was, but not what it means, is that there was substantial evidence to support the city council's compliance with CEQA. That means essentially that the court is saying it's a very high standard for us to meet to show that they didn't have evidence, and if they had even some evidence, if there's sufficient evidence, the court is basically saying they've complied with CEQA. We don't think they did, but that was the court's ruling. And we knew that from the beginning. We knew that was a difficult standard for us to overcome as the petitioners in a CEQA lawsuit, but there were a number of issues we raised in our briefing that I think were very compelling, that there wasn't substantial evidence. But putting that aside for a minute, the court has made a finding about CEQA compliance, but once again, it's not part of the judgment. We don't have a judgment yet. If the city council approves the project, we will have 60 days to appeal to the Court of Appeal. Now, once again, I'm not sure what the 60 days runs from. Does it run from their approval? Does it run, does somebody go back and ask the court to enter a judgment as to the CEQA part of the case? I don't know. Our attorneys know. This is why we have a specialist and don't have someone who isn't an environmental attorney handling the case, because it's very procedurally complicated. But our attorneys know what they're doing, and it's 60 days from something. Okay. So that's it. There were only a couple of questions. Somebody asked whether the city council could vote to rezone. They could. I mean, they have that power, but they have other things to consider, like compliance with both the general and the specific plan. So theoretically they could, but we don't know. Somebody else, another person asked, where do we go from here? I think I'm sort of have explained it. The legal process is winding down, but not concluded. Once the city council decides, I think we'll have a lot more clarity as to what our next steps are, and of course we will keep you informed. If they don't approve the project, which is a possibility, we won't need to go any further. Okay, if they do approve the project, we have a right to appeal. As I said, not sure when that 60 days starts to run, but we have the right to appeal it. So stay tuned on that. And just on a personal note, I want to say something about our wonderful board. In November 2021, a diverse group of Sun Lakes and Pass area residents met to address how best to oppose the Banning Point development emergency. We were ordinary people representing the wonderful diversity of constituents that live in Sun Lakes, Four Seasons, and the surrounding pass area. Our group included retired business owners, real estate professionals, corporate executives, environmental activists, a microbiologist, a former grand jury member, a lawyer, a general contractor and plan check administrator, an assisted living administrator, and I hope I haven't forgotten anybody. We came together as different individuals from many walks of life, but we worked collaboratively to fundraise, support our attorneys, and take this case all the way through the Superior Court by way of our petition for writ of mandate. And we just want to thank everybody in this room for your support, both emotional and financial, and will to be continued.
Thank you, Diane. And, you know, I've said that as well, and I agree. This board has been phenomenal. A group of people have gotten together, communities gotten together. Diane, could you explain a little bit that the fact that our attorneys will work with their attorneys on the writ of mandate, or how does that work?
Okay, so the writ has, I didn't want to go into a whole lot of detail because it's confusing, but there's actually a proposed writ that has been filed with the Superior Court. Our attorneys and the attorneys for the opposition worked together to draft the language of the proposed writ, which the court will sign. The writ has been filed, but it has not been signed as of yesterday, as of Friday. It has not been signed by Judge Hopp. Okay, and like I said, there is no, at this moment, there is no judgment as to the findings on the CEQA part of the case. And I'm not completely clear about the procedure, but we'll figure it out.
Thank you. Sure. The California Environmental Quality Act. No problem. I didn't know it 2.5 years ago. I didn't know what it meant either. So one of the things that we have talked about in our board meeting, and we wanted to address today, we see our next step, like immediately, is attempting to lobby our council members and get our council members and sending out emails to them. John, do you want to address what you talked about, or do you want me to just to do it? Go ahead, that mic should be on. John's got a thought process.
Well, I thought we've been so many things. We've been fundraisers, we've been this, we've been that. We're now going to become professional lobbyists. But it's not just us. We've got 5,000 people that live here that also can be lobbyists with us. We want to inundate the city council, not just the one city councilman for our district. I would like to see all 5 of the city councilmen receive emails, hard mail, once a week from as many of us as we could possibly do. I'd like them to get 1,000 pieces of information a week saying, please stop the warehouse. This is a place where people come to retire. We don't want to be living next to a factory. You wouldn't want a liquor store next to your schools. You wouldn't approve that. Why would you approve a warehouse next to a senior living facility like the Lakes, where people come for the last breaths, if you would, and it can't be diesel fumes. So we're going to ask you guys to still be involved and to be our cheerleaders to the city council, because they're going to have to vote again, and let's make them feel guilty if they vote for it. That's all.
Thank you, John. And always remember, there is a slim possibility, because the market in warehousing has changed dramatically in the last 2.5 years. There's a slim possibility that the developer might not resubmit. That's very slim, but we can also hope for that. You never know, because obviously, if they're not going to build it, they're not going to ask the city to reapprove it. Or that's my opinion. That's how it would work. Yeah, Diane.
We do know that they were building on spec and did not have a tenant, which is another factor that may militate against them going forward.
Yeah, they were building it without a planned tenant, or as far as they told us, they didn't have a planned tenant. But we never know, and I'm sure 2.5 years later, even if they were lying to us then, they don't have one now, because most people aren't going to wait 2.5 years to build, even with all the COVID stuff that came in. So lobbying is going to be a key. We're going to update get all the emails up on the Facebook page. We're going to put them on, get the website updated. We'll throw in some bullet points in there. But drafting your own letters, I think you'll get it coming from right here. Get it coming from the heart. Drafting your own letters and emails, hard copies. But we'll get City Hall address on there. We'll get the email addresses, and I think that's one big step to go to. Yeah, with appropriate language, I was reminded. And if it does come back up to whether the Planning Commission or just the council, we will have a plan. We'll work with the community, and we'll have a plan on how to do that. So that, so that we don't have some of the outbursts that we had last time at the Planning Commission meetings and council meetings. So hopefully that we can do it more succinctly and actually get their attention and so forth. So that's the big goal and the big next step with this, to continue to stop or fight Banning Point. Okay? All right, now, the next thing we're going to touch base on, just very quickly, because this has come up numerous times by numerous people, is the other project to the east of us. Those of you that have read Lifestyles probably read that the Pass Action Group will not, as an entity, be handling it. We were chartered to create this where we chartered and started this group through the nonprofit status, 501c4, to stop Banning Point. All monies were collected for that purpose. That was the goal number one. So as an entity, including our board and directors, officers, insurance, and all of that. So our goal was to stop Banning Point. Now Sunset Crossroads has come up. I know there's some of you in the community that are definitely opposed to that. I will tell you this, my Sunset Crossroads, did you say, what is it, sir? Okay, Sunset Crossroads, for those of you that don't know, is east of us. It's over 5 million square feet of warehousing. They're going to have some retail stuff, as in gas station, truck stop possibly a motel, and so forth. And their draft environmental impact report, commonly referred to as DEIR, was put out, and to protect the community, and I'll say the group, but I will say Jim Corrigan and Diane Burley created a 62-page document to saying what they feel is wrong with that project. There was one reason and one primary, not one reason only, but one primary reason for that. And that was, once that draft EIR came out, again, there's some legalese back and forth, but once that came out, you have to bring up the issues in order to be able to fight them later on. Since we were organized, these two took it on specifically and have put that together, and it was filed with the city to protect our community's rights. Okay, so I personally would like to give Jim and Diane a hand on that. You want to say something? Jim wants to say a couple words on that.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming, and I want to reiterate what Randy shared with you, that we have the opportunity to lobby for the against the Banning Point project. If we can be courteous in our communications with City Council, whether it goes to Planning Commission first or directly to City Council, we have the opportunity for that decision to be reversed. So I would encourage everyone to take that opportunity and to be involved, just like we've been involved. You supported the involvement, and now it's kind of boiling down to the possibility that this project not happen directly across the street from our main entry. The Sunset Crossroads, the new development, or the one coming up right after, is going to involve Sun Lakes Boulevard extension all the way to Sunset Avenue. There'll be 10 buildings, 5+ million square feet industrial warehouse. There'll be a fun zone commercial center right along Sunset and the 10 freeway. There'll be a truck stop, gas station. That's going to go in first, I'm sure, along with the industrial buildings. Their whole phasing sequence through the the draft environmental impact report was done in 21, 3 years ago. And so I don't see the phasing working out the way that they portrayed it. Doesn't matter. The whole project will get voted in and approved. And so that's a fight and a half. That's 3 times the fight of this project, Banning Point. And will take a whole lot more money to fight that. So right now, Randy's going to share in a little bit about what the next opportunity is regarding the Sunset Crossroads. The reason why CEQA couldn't really be fought against was because we were late, or we didn't understand, or the whole community didn't realize that the zone change, the specific plan, and the entitlement for the warehouse across the street, Banning Point, that had already been done. Nobody really knew. I mean, we knew because there was a, what do they call it? Yeah, after the fact, but there was the public notice and the billboard. That's how we all, what the heck is going on? But they had come to the community, and they had the scoping meeting, so a number of you may have attended that or been aware of what happened, and asking, well, what's that big gray square area? Yeah, nobody got told anything about what that was other than, oh, that's light industrial. And all knowing that what it was going to be exactly, because this all comes into the city, and you know, it's all talked about by the property owners of what they can do and what they're proposing to do, and development agreements are discussed, and you know, we want, you know, no taxes for the first 15 years, you know, if it's going to be a Walgreens or a whatever. So, not a Walgreens, but a Walmart. And, you know, that's just, so the council knows, the city manager knows, the planning department knows, and, but we weren't at the point where we were for this Sunset Crossroads project, where the draft environmental impact had to be responded to within 45 days of its publication. Who's going to take that on? We were asked that as the Pass Action Group. What are you going to do about this? I don't know. What do you want? What are you going to do about it? You know, so Diane Burley and I, you know, took it upon ourselves to file a response letter, just like the Sierra Club did, 62 pages, like Randy expressed, that anchored the right and the way that we entitled it, Concerned Citizens et al., opposed to the Sunset Crossroads development. And thanks to Bob Hicks's wisdom, it was not, you know, entitled Pass Action Group, because we knew we couldn't fight that fight. Our charter didn't allow it. We weren't authorized. And after 2+ years, we'll have to see where we go from here regarding it. And so this document right here gives anybody, et al., meaning anyone else who wants to, be involved, be a part, take it and run with it. And that's where Randy's going to express where we're going. What's that, sir? It's right on our eastern property line. The RV parking lot. From there, directly over to Sunset. How many acres? 400 and... Okay, so back to Randy.
You're the expert on that acreage over there. Bruce, go ahead. You can use this mic.
I think it'd be interesting for them to know, and I don't know the words.
Okay.
How far back does it go? Because it goes all the way up that trail.
Okay, yeah, what Bruce wanted to express is that other property for the Sunset Crossroads, if you take Sun Lakes and just Sun Lakes Boulevard and just do a straight out extension right now, it would encompass everything north of Sun Lakes and approximately, I'm not sure how many acres, I think 25 or 30 acres, maybe more, south of it as well. Because apparently they bought 2 tracts of land out there for, of what I was heard was basically that had old junk houses on it for $12.5 million each. That's what I was told, that's how much those old ranches sold for. And then back behind that is still county territory, and that area is currently still county territory and not part of the city of Banning. There is a possibility of annexation. The county gets involved in that, but that's a whole nother dilemma. So on top of what Jim said, and that was fantastic, great way to explain it, Jim. So the next thing that we did do, again, as an entity, we're not going to take it on. But what we did do is we have the multi-purpose room. It's kind of small, sorry about that. For April 11th, that's this coming Thursday at 5 o'clock. Anybody that's interested in joining a new group that wants to do it, that's when that meeting will be. I believe there will be a couple members of the Pass Action Group there to either kick the ball going or be involved with it, whatever. That's the individual's choices at this point. I personally am not going to have the time to do it myself, and I will be glad to help consult in whatever we did, if it, the new leadership, if they need it, or want it. So that's the, yeah, and all the collateral work, and we can show you thank you, Bob. We can show you our starting bylaws. We can explain what we did to get the 501c4. In our case, it was not a C3, so it's not tax deductible, and stuff like that. So we can assist with that as individuals. We will do that. And so if anybody, so just remember that's this Thursday at 5 p.m. If if there's, those that want to do it. The extension is working through the city already. The county wants it, the city wants it, apparently, rightfully so. The county wants it and the state wants it. Because anytime Interstate 10 backs up or clogs, it is I'll just keep it clean, it's a mess. Okay? And that's all part of what they call the bypass, the Interstate 10 bypass. So it's going to be hard to stop that. Now, potentially keeping it from being a truck route along Sun Lakes, that potential is there, especially with some discussion about bike lanes that they're going to be built because they'll get grant money to do them. So that'll help. So we're just going to stay on top of that with regards to the truck route aspect, because that will affect if Banning Point were ever to be built. So, yes, Bruce? Hold it down.
We were all privileged to have a member of the city come. Pick it up?
Just get it closer.
Okay. We were all privileged to attend a meeting, it's been about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks ago, here, where the project manager for the extension described what his project was. And it started a long time ago, and Randy's right, everybody seems to really want it at least to go through. The truck route part, whether it's a truck route in front of our place on Sunset or on Sun Lakes Boulevard, is still an open issue. The gentleman who presented to us said basically he was going to put bicycle lanes and no parking all along there, so we wouldn't have to worry about trucks, and he had no plan to change it to a truck route. But when that particular presentation was summarized in our local newspaper, they basically said, but this will be considered by the city. So we went from, no, it's not going to happen, to look, we're looking at it again, same old stuff. So, thank you.
And yeah, as someone just said, politics. And that's something that, again, we're a little more savvy as a community than we were 2.5 years ago. So hopefully we'll catch some of this stuff as it comes forward in the right amount of time to get it taken care of. So as a recap, Thursday, 5 o'clock in the multi-purpose room down the hall. And hopefully if those of you that want to fight it, we can get a group together and do that. And so that's the main things. I'm trying to remember if I had another slide. Nope. Okay, that's all I've got. If there is, any pertinent question that we missed, I think we caught all the ones that came in ahead of time, and so we appreciate that. So I don't see any. Oh, I do see Marty. Yeah, Marty.
What is the status of our finances, and how are we going to spend it moving forward?
The question was, what is the status of our finances? Right now, we are down to about $30,000 in the bank from the Pass Action Group, which we still have I'm just getting my month straight. The February bill, I think it is, February and March bill, we have not received yet from the lawyers. That was all the prep for the hearing. So that's about where we're at right there. And if we do file an appeal, we can start off the intent to appeal for very, very cheap. I just under $1,000, right, Diane? Yeah, for the intent to appeal. If there's a determination that we need to appeal or there's something that we can appeal, then we might have to do some more fundraising towards that. Thank you for the question, Jack. Appreciate it. What's that? Bob, did you want to say something you had mentioned earlier?
Yeah, I just want to thank Randy and the entire board for all their efforts, because they've done an awesome job for us. And now at this point, it looks like we have a shot at winning this thing. We need to, as I mentioned earlier, we need to lobby. We need to lobby the city council members. All we need is 2 more, and I think there's a really good chance of that happening. So thank everybody for showing up, and really thank Randy and the board.
Thank you, Bob. And again, thank you to everybody. It's been a long trek to get where we are. At least we've taken a step, and we'll see where we go from here. And that pretty much concludes it. And thank you, everybody, for attending. Yeah. Oh, hang on. We got one question over here. Okay. Yeah, the website, the question was, can we get the website updated? It was recently just updated, about 2 weeks ago, very much so, and I will absolutely get it. We have a volunteer that's helping out right now, and quite frankly, so it's not on my shoulders anymore. Our original webmaster passed away, and so we did have some bad times there. So I apologize for that. Yes, ma'am. You got it. We will do that. I will talk to our new webmaster and have her work on that for me. You got it. She's not here today, so I can't get her on it today. Yes, sir. Oh, hi, Frank.
I too want to thank the board, and I also want to thank each and every one of you for participating in it, resolving. Now you have another thing you can do, and that is we have an election in November. There's four seats available. Section 1, 2, and 3 are automatic. Number 4 is because of the resigning one of the officers. So don't just concentrate on this to send your notices. Let them know also if you know anyone in District 1, 2, 3, and 4, give them the support. Get in touch with them, and let's get this thing solved. Because when I've lived here for over 60 years. This land here was on the city council agenda in the 70s when we voted it in to our home. And it's a beautiful complex. I wish we had 5 more of these instead of 5 more 100,000, 500,000 warehouses on it. The area does not need all these warehouses. You drive around and you see so many vacancy. So it makes no sense that they're investing, but somehow they're doing it. But please, contact the city council as he has suggested, but remember November the 3rd, I think is the date, or 4th, that there's 4 city council seats open. You are very, very fortunate to have number 3, who has done a beautiful job for you. And you gotta do everything you can do to keep her in office. They give her a hard time each and every time. But the millions of dollars that's supposed to have disappeared in the electric department, we'll see what they come up with. But Sherry's the one that disclosed that. She's the one found it for our half on it. So keep her in mind, and thank you very much. And again, God bless all of you.
Thank you, Frank. Yeah, a reminder, we can only vote for our district. Okay, I'll take 2 more questions, and then we got to get moving on.
You remember that this same company bought the property on the east side of Banning, and that was nothing has happened there either. So are we aware of what is going on with that property? I don't know. Okay. Well, I think we're glutted with warehouses. Absolutely. thank God.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Randy, on finances, I think I heard that we can claim legal and expenses for the suit that we just had. Are we doing that, and how does that impact our finances?
We can petition to get some of our costs back, and at this point, Diane, would you like to answer that? Probably answer it better than I can.
We are considered the prevailing party, which means that we can petition for both attorney's fees and costs. Of course, we have to figure out how much that is, but we can petition for it. Yeah, I would say it's a lot. Okay.
Okay, I think that about covers it. Just a reminder, Thursday at 5 o'clock is not an informational thing, but it's actually intended for those that want to come and get involved in a new group to start to fight that if that's your desire. So, all right, thank you everybody for coming. I appreciate it.